All right, so if you watched my last video on energetic upgrades and you're thinking, I don't understand why I'm the only one feeling this, or not everyone feels this, not everyone's journey is as hard as mine. What if? What if your journey is harder specifically for specific reasons? And so, one of the things that I want to say is sometimes we're not just healing for ourselves, we're healing for others as well. And so maybe that is part of your soul contract. So that brings me to my first point is not everyone's journey is created equally. We all have different soul contracts. So the question is, what is your soul contract? And for example, on my journey, I have not had guides who I can go to and just ask, like, what is happening? Please tell me. Like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I going through this experience? Why am I not able to be in specific jobs anymore? Why am I having specific symptoms in my body? What is happening? What am I experiencing? Why am I repeating certain patterns? I had to go through it without guides, at least without guides in the way that I was hoping to have guides. So my version of guides were people, experiences, things that would come into my life. And they would have karmic contracts with me. So they would come in to teach me lessons the hard way. They would come in to trigger me. And as soon as I learned the lessons, they usually left. Now that was very jarring for me, but it got easier and easier. And I started to understand the role of different people and different situations in my life. So it did eventually get better. I found a lot of content on YouTube, for example, that helped me get through it. And so this is also now why I am helping with my experiences of things that I've been through, things that people I know and help and work with are going through. And so that's another resource that you have. And eventually, now what I'm experiencing is that I am coming more in alignment with people who are at the same frequency as me. And so sometimes it's more of like confirmation of what I'm experiencing, that they're also experiencing it. Or sometimes it's just, we are meant to do some work together or just build our community. So a lot of the journey, you might go without a tribe. And then all of a sudden, once you get to a specific level, you'll start to attract certain people in. So it does get better. It's not always lonely. So the second reason why your path might be harder than others is because you are more energetically sensitive. So this is the empaths, the intuitives, the star seeds, the healers. And this is because we have a very finely tuned nervous system. And we're unconsciously taking in a lot of data. So it can be the weather changing, it can be a sound, it can be a taste, it can be a look, an energy. Like, we are picking up so much information. And I used to have this happen to me in corporate all the time, where it was like I knew what needed to be built, or I knew what was going to happen if we don't make specific changes or we don't do things a certain way years ahead. And eventually that's how it would play out if I wasn't able to communicate that with everyone else. But so that's one way it can play out if you haven't yet stepped into the journey and growing. I have an incredible lie detector. Like, someone who doesn't even think they're lying, I can tell if they're lying to themselves. And so that makes it very hard to be in specific situations where you can scan the room for inauthenticity. And if that is what you are living towards, that's one of the places where you won't be able to be in the same environments. Now, does everyone experience that on the spiritual path? No, but many will. So then the next reason that your path might be harder is if you are clearing density. So if you're working with ancestral trauma and if you're working with clearing karma, you will feel this a whole lot more. It's detoxifying physically, emotionally, spiritually. So this is very draining. So for the rest of the world, it might seem like you're not doing anything and you're sleeping and you're always grumpy and you're very emotional. You're not just processing your own stuff and what they're seeing, you're processing centuries old trauma. And so give yourself a lot of space and compassion that this is what you're going through. So it's not going to be something that you're going to work through overnight because this trauma has been there for centuries. It's deep in your nervous system. So when a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm doing the work, but they're still responding from trauma responses, it's because that trauma lives so deep in the nervous system that they haven't actually gotten to it and pulled it from its roots. The other thing I will say also about working with ancestral trauma and karmic cycles is it everyone in the family does not carry it. Everyone in the lineage does not carry it. So for example, some people might experience the trauma and have an experience in their life because of it, but they're not necessarily here to clear it. There are some souls in specific lineages who come in to actually clear and work through that trauma. So if that is you, that is also a reason why your journey could feel extra difficult. Okay. There are also things, for example, if you are clearing specific energies and you're clearing specific trauma, you cannot be in that environment during that time because you're literally detoxifying certain patterns. And if that environment reinforces that pattern, you will not be able to be there while you're working through it. Now, does it mean that you're never going to be able to be in that environment again? No. There are some people whose soul contract might be specifically to one, heal the trauma, heal the pattern, and then go back to that very environment to then reestablish it, figure out what that new paradigm is going to be. And if that's your path, you will find your way back. And if it's not your path, you will notice that you're not even attracted to being back in that environment around those types of people who trigger that same response. And the good thing is that once you heal through it, you're not going to continue having a triggered response to it. You're just not going to really care about it much. And you can just move on from it. But if it's a cycle that you need to complete, it will be the same thing with different faces, and it'll just come over and over again until you clear that cycle. Okay. So the fourth reason why your path might be more difficult than others is that you are being redirected. You are so far from what you are here to do in this lifetime that sometimes those difficulties are ways of getting your attention to really ask, like, what is going on? Why am I experiencing these patterns? What is it trying to tell me? And once you get curious and you start moving towards the path that your soul has chosen in this lifetime, those trigger points will get less and less, and it will be less difficult because You will learn how to live with the guidance of the universe. You will learn how to pause when you need to. You will start getting people coming into your life who also understand what's going on. They're at the same frequency as you. So, I mean, one of the biggest things that have been challenging for me is that I now shift through things so quickly that people will leave, things will leave just as quickly as they come up into my life. And so sometimes it's a little bit jarring, but the more you realize, okay, they're here for a specific reason, they're here to teach me something, and everything in life is temporary, the more you start understanding that, the more you can let go of why is this way? Why do I keep losing people? Why do I keep losing jobs? All of that starts kind of dissipating. Um, excuse me. And the last reason is, where are you continuing from your previous lifetime? So some people are newer to the spiritual journey, some people are not. So, I mean, we will see little kids who can recite scripture and they know exactly what certain teachings are. That's because they are way further along in their spiritual journey. Some of us intentionally have to remember who we are and everything that we've known so that we can continue in this lifetime, because the times are different. How people understand things is different. And so one of the things that the messages that I received last year when I kept asking, why me, why me, why me, and when is this going to be over, was that the more the challenges, the harder the lessons, the more people you're here to serve and the bigger impact you're here to have. So I'm going to say that again. The more the challenges, the harder the lessons, the more impact you're here to have, and the more people you're here to serve. So, if you are one of those people who feels like you are in the grinder and it is just endless, and sometimes it's just having someone who you can speak to who says, I get it. I've been there. I've done that. It gets better. And here's how it gets better. And here are some of the tools that you can use. Leave in the comment, yes, that's me. And I will definitely leave you a message. I will try to help you however I can. And if you're not feeling like you're in a place where you can own this journey and put it in the comments, leave me a direct message and tell me what you're experiencing. Because trust me, I get it. I get how difficult it is to go through this journey on your own, not knowing what's happening. And if I can help you, that is part of the journey that I'm on. That's part of my mission, is to help people in ways that I didn't get help on. And so if that's you, if this you feel like will resonate with anyone that you know, please share it with them. We're all on this journey together. Some of us feel like we're alone, but we're really not. So thank you, and I will see you again next time.